Okay, so I did a lesson on fractions as parts of a whole for second grade, and their essential question is, how do I use concrete materials and drawings to understand and show understanding of fractions? And for the lesson rationale, students will be able to see how fractions are representative as parts of a whole and be able to represent that themselves. So, Common Core State Standards. They will use the understanding of fractions to partition shapes into halves, quarters, and thirds. They will use drawings or models to show the concept of a fraction as a part of a whole, or use whole numbers and simple fractions, halves, thirds, fourths, to represent quantities. So my objective is students will be able to physically construct fractions using drawings and physical shapes to represent numbers, and I'm using 1/2, 1/4, and 1/3 for my fractions. And they'll be able to do this by the end of the period. And the level of bloom is create. So for my anticipatory set, I have a video that the students will watch on YouTube, and this just covers the basics of fractions that they've already been learning about, which isn't that much, and it introduces fractions as parts of a whole, and it's a catchy song, so it'll help the students remember. So at the start of the lesson, I'll pass out these paper circles to each student, cut these out beforehand. And students will take one side and they will color it one color. So I'm going to use orange. And they color the whole circle orange. Or any other color that they want. Then you can use labels or sticky notes to label the paper. I'm just going to write right on it. And I'm going to label it one whole. And then you fold this in half so that the white side of the paper is out. And the teacher will be doing this with the students and modeling so that the students know what they're supposed to do. And they color this a different color. I'm going to use blue. And then this is labeled 1/2. And then finally you fold it again so that the white side's out. And students have to pick a third color. Which one have I used? Purple. For me. And then you label that 1/4. And so students will have a label of 1/4, 1/2, and 1 whole. And students will be able to reference this throughout the lesson to help them with their understandings of fractions. So basically, they just have a fraction circle that they can take with them, and they can use to help in their homework and throughout the lesson. So after this, split the students into partners, and be careful about the partners. So like if the student's struggling, then place them with a student who's actually getting the concept and understanding so that they can help each other, and they can discuss what's going on, and pass out fraction circles. So for this, they need the 1 whole, the 1/2, thirds, and the fourths. And the teacher will put a fraction on the board or call it a fraction and write it. So like they will say 1/4. And then students have to be able to pick up the correct fraction, 1/4. And then they will, on their worksheets, which has a bunch of different circles, they will color in 1/4 of one of the circles. So first they'll divide it into 4 different parts because 1/4 is 4 parts for the circle. And then they'll color in the 1/4. And then they will put the fraction that it's supposed to be at the bottom, so they'll label it 1/4. And this goes for all of the fractions that students have to do. And at the end of the lesson, the teacher will collect everyone's worksheets to see if they have an understanding of the fractions. It's important to allow students time to play with the fraction circles when you first hand them out, because this is the first time that they will see them. And then students will have a worksheet to take home as homework that they can work on. And it has a bunch of different shapes, including circles, and different parts of them are shaded in. And students need to say which fraction of the circle is shaded. So that is my lesson on fractions for second grade.